Hi viewers and welcome to the channel, and today we're going to create a Formula 1 wheel nut. We're going to be using a number of techniques in here, including polar patterns, subtractive helix and subtractive groove. We're also going to be using the Revolve as well. This is quite a simple tutorial, although it looks like a complex object. So I hope you're enjoying the series, and let's have a look at this technique. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a coffee site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. For this tutorial, we're starting the part design of FreeCAD, and we're going to create a new body and create a new sketch. We can do this from the tasks as well. So we can create a body and we can create a sketch. We're going to do this along the YZ plane. This one here, looking at it from the right. Hit OK. I'm going to first start by creating two circles in here. So connected to this center point, this point of origin, we're going to use the circle tool. We have the auto constraints clicked in the edit controls and the avoid redundant auto constraints. That means when I hover over this point, you see that I get a coincidence constraint that's matching this one here. So let's create two circles. And what this allows us to do is if we padded this one, it will just create a disk. But if we added an internal circle, this will now create a tube when padded. We're going to hit escape and click the internal circle and come over to our constraints, and we're going to constrain the diameter of the inner one to 60 and the outer one to 70. These dimensions are up to you. These are the ones I'm choosing. I'm just going to hit enter to close that. So now we have these two rings. If I hit close, I can pad this now using the pad or the pad over in the tasks. We're going to pad this by 50 millimeters, so the length of 50 millimeters. Now hit OK. We now have this tube, which now we're going to add a revolve around either one of these edges. Let's come back to the model, and I'm going to bring this around and click on the rear. So we're looking at this side on. And we're going to hit create a new sketch, and we're going to place the sketch along this plane, so along the XZ plane. We can see this is in reverse, so what will probably happen is we'll flip around this way to the front. Doesn't matter, it's symmetrical, so that'll be fine. Let's hit OK, and now we've got our point of origin here followed by our shape. I'm going to use a section view. So we're creating a new sketch. We need to use the section view so we can see through here. And this is this button here. When in edit mode, switch between section view and full view. So now that's sectioned in, we're going to take this front edge and project it across this line by using the import geometry. This gives us a reference any geometry against. So you can see that line is coming. So we can actually attach geometry onto here. We're going to use this for the revolve that goes around here. So a revolve is a profile basically of a circular shape. We're looking at the cross section of that circular shape, and what will happen, it will be revolved around here. So if I put a line in here or a rectangle, you'll get a rectangular lip that goes all the way around here. We're going to be using the polyline, this tool here, and we're going to create our shape. So I want to come into here, and I'm going to sketch out by clicking an auto constraint to that point, and we're going to place this type of shape here. You can see the auto constraints are coming on. We've missed one here, but we can go back and fix that. And we're going to come down and make sure we get a nice straight line there. So we've got straight here, straight here. If we do miss one, we just hit escape, click on the line and add our constraint. So this one I want to add a vertical constraint. I want to make sure that these two are equal. So I'm going to use the quality constraint, and I'm going to zoom in and start setting some dimensions. So this length here I'm going to set to 20 millimeters. And because these two are equal, we just need one length in here. I'm going to say about 8 millimeters. You can see this one's gone green, so that's fully constrained that line, but all the others need constraining. So now I'm going to create some more constraints in here. So we're going to say the height of this from this point here, and we add a height in here. I'm going to say this one is around 50 millimeters. We may have to pull these up, and we set the height of this one, this line here, to 3 mil. So that's fully constrained now. This will create, if we look at it from the side, when this goes around, it will create this lip going around here, and basically a slanted front with a flat face here that we can add geometry to. Let's hit close. So we can see that profile there. Click the sketch and then come up to this icon, the Revolve or Part Design. Come down to the additive feature, because the additive feature is in yellow, and hit Revolve. It's going to ask you where to revolve it around. At the moment we've got vertical sketch axis. So this will be this sketch axis here, the vertical sketch axis, which we don't want. We want the horizontal sketch axis. So it's revolving around here. You can see what's happened. So we've got that shape in there. Let's hit OK. Now we have this shape here. So we've got the revolve and our original shape, which is all part of one object. I'm going to now add a number of features that run all the way around here to create the grip for this nut. So for that, I need to reference some geometry in here when I create a sketch. We're going to be using the polar array, this one here. So we're going to create one feature and create about 15 or 16 of the items that follow around here. For that, I'm going to come to the right. So we're looking straight on, and I'm going to select this face. So we've got the face of this object here, and I'm going to create a sketch. That attaches that sketch to that face, and now I can start importing some of the geometry. So we want the features to sit here. You can use the import geometry, and this will pull in the geometry that we need. So I'm going to pull in that edge and also this edge here. Now we've got those in, just going to click the right. I'm going to come in and I'm going to create two lines. So using the line tool, I'm going to hover over this arc here and just click. That makes a point on line constraint, and we're going to come in and click on here as well. And we're going to do the same on the other side. So we're looking to pad this and bring it up from here. This is invalid geometry at the moment because it's not closed, so I'm going to use the arc, the endpoint and rim point arc. So we can auto constraint to this point here, auto constraint to this point here, and create our arc. I'm just going to bring this up. Make sure you don't hover over this line because it will create a tangency against there, which we don't want. So just put it to the side. I'm going to do the same on the top. Auto constraint to that point, auto constraint to the other, and create the arc. Make sure we're not touching the center line. I'm going to hit escape to get the mouse pointer back. I'm going to use this arc and the imported geometry and make those equal. That brings that across there. We're going to do the same for the top. So that means that it will follow this arc, equality. So you can see what's happened there. And we can pull this across. and come over to the other side and pull this one across. But you can see one side can go this way and the other one doesn't actually move. So I'm going to take these 2 points and then select the center line, this vertical center line, and use the symmetry. We're over constrained, so we can click to select and it will highlight this point on line constraint. So just hit delete and that's removed from there. Let's do the same for this one as well. And click this line, symmetry, and click to select and delete. Now when I move these, they move together. Let's put some dimensions in here. So these two, this point and this point, I'm going to use a length, fix horizontal distance. I'm going to set this one to 2.5. And we're going to do the same with the bottom one, these 2 points. Come up, use the length, and set that one to 4.5. You can see it's fully constrained now. Let's hit close. Now we've got that, we can pad this, but we need to pad in the opposite direction. Make sure the sketch is selected by clicking on it and click pad. Now the object's disappeared because it's padding forward. We need to pad in reverse. So it's going down this way. If we padded this way, it actually separates from the object and it creates two bodies or multiple bodies. And FreeCAD doesn't allow that. So we do the reverse pad, come up to the type, at the moment it's dimensions. If we go to first, that'll bring that up to that first face. So that's padded all the way down to that face. Let's hit OK. So now we've created this feature here. I want to create 16 or 15 of these going all the way around here. So it's going to be laborious trying to recreate these. So we can use something called a polar pattern. When we use the polar pattern, we select one or more features from the tree view. So at the moment I selected this pad, and though the whole lot has selected, this last feature that was created, which was this, will be duplicated around this object. So come up to part design after we've selected that feature, apply a pattern, and we want polar pattern. Now what happens is that feature will be duplicated over here. We can see the number of instances or occurrences that's going to create. So this one's got 2 at the moment. So if we increase this one to say 3, you'll see how they are placed across there. If you don't see this, then come up to the axis. So you can see it's saying normal sketch axis. When it says normal, that means it's normal to sketch. So if you have a sketch where I've created on here, so I created this sketch here, normal runs this way. So from the face upwards, so away from the face of that sketch. So you can see normal sketch as it is. If it's not running that way, then we just change it with one of these down here. So I want, say, about 15 occurrences. Click off, and those occurrences have all gone around there. But I actually want to do some beveling or some filleting around here first. Now normally you do this last, but I'm going to do it with my polar pattern. So I'm going to cancel my polar pattern, and rather than doing it on the individual ones, I'm just going to do it on this one. So I want to come in and have a look at this. I want to take this edge, click it, come around and control click this edge and come up, and we're going to use a fillet on there, or come up to part design, apply a dress up and fillet. So we filleted in there, just to curve that off a bit, and we can adjust the fillet like so. Once you're happy, hit OK. Let's add another one. So let's add a fillet to this edge, say these 2 edges. Control click and click both of those edges. And we're going to use the fillet from the toolbar this time. So that fillet's in there. So hit OK, we can adjust that to what we want. So we've got 2 fillets. So we have 3 actions that created that feature in there. If I click on the pad, press the spacebar, you can see the original pad there. Click on the fillet, press the spacebar to make that visible. All the rest are invisible. You can see that's fillets come in there and the last fillet. Now to create a polar pattern of what we've just done, you don't click the last feature. If you did that and used the polar pattern, I'm going to use the polar pattern from the toolbar. So create a polar pattern. What happens is, well, it's not actually working. So you can see nothing's been applied. And that's because we haven't got all the features that make up this feature here. Let's hit cancel. This time, let's click the pad, which was our original feature that was created from. So click the pad, control click the others, and now do a polar pattern. So I've selected 3 features in there. Now I want to click create a polar pattern. You can see now that's worked. And we've got all the elements that create that feature. You can see them in here. Let's come down. Again, it's normal to sketch. And we're going to set the occurrences to 15. Click off. And those have been applied. Let's come up and hit OK. Now we've got the starts of our wheel nut. So now we've got our polar pattern, we need to remove some material in the manner of a groove around here. So what I want to do is take this feature and from about the middle here, I want to create a groove that's going all the way around here, starting here, that curves down and then drops about 45 degrees here. That means that this feature we've handed here, this fillet, we don't need. So we need to remove that. So the last fillet we added was fillet 001. Let's come into the polar pattern and double click it. And I'm going to click remove feature. We now see that we are left with one feature here. And I'm going to click the feature that I want to remove. So this is the fillet I want to remove. So we can just click it to remove. Now if we look, we can see we've still got this fillet here, but we're back to our original fillet going all the way around. Let's see what happens if we hit OK. We now got the polar pattern here, but we still got the fillet, this fillet here, which we don't need. So just hit delete. It's going to warn you about the fillet and hit yes. Our polar pattern's fine. So now we have the polar pattern. We can see everything's absolutely fine and we're back to the original fillet. So now I'm going to create a sketch in here. So I'm going to come round to the top. And what I need to do is pick some geometry from here to import. So first of all, I'm going to make sure there's nothing selected because I haven't got anything to actually hang this geometry on. I want to make a profile for the groove. So there's nothing really that I can hang this on. So I'm going to hang it onto the base plane. So come to the top or even to the front. It's up to you. Let's do it from the front and create a sketch. Nothing selected, create a sketch. We're going to place it along the ZX plane. So we're looking at our helper here, and that's the ZX plane or the XZ plane, and hit OK. We now got a sketch that's intersecting the center of here. It's quite handy because I've actually intersected with this seam as well. So I could pull this in if I wanted to. So let's create our geometry. So I'm going to section through here, click on front and come in. Now I need to pull in this edge. So this edge that comes around here, I just want to pull in the edge so I can reference it. So come in right here and click to pull in that point. And also I'm going to pull in, say, this point along this edge. I can click on the edge and pull that in, and click on this edge and pull it in like so. Or I can actually just pull in this line instead of these. So I'm going to hit escape and just delete these. And we can pull in that line there. That's actually the wrong line, so I'm going to hit escape and delete that and pull in the line above it. So this one here. So click on create an edge link to external geometry, come down and we'll pull in that line or pull in this edge. So this point and this point. And then we can create our endpoint and room point. I'm going to place it just in the middle of these two. Come down and create a curve. And then we're going to take this point, auto constrain it with a line to here and auto constrain to this point here. So we've got this line and this curve. We're going to make this curve symmetrical to these 2 points. So take the outside points and then take the point of the curve, and using the symmetry constraint, that will place that point in between those two. So the last point is the symmetry point. We can constrain this now to 45 degrees, so we need something to constrain it to. We can pull in the side, but I'm going to use this here. So I'm going to take this and come in and create an angle constraint and set that to 45. Let's come in and start setting up some geometry in here. We're going to take this point and zoom out and come down and find the horizontal line, because that goes right through the center. And this point, and use a height constraint in there and set that to 40 millimeters. Let's set the radius this one here to around about 20 millimeters. That is now fully constrained. But I want to take this material away, so I need to close this object. So I'm going to use the polyline and bring this out, up, across and down. So we're auto constraining all the way through there, and we've created a closed shape. Now normally what I'll do is come in and set heights and widths along here, saying these two could be equal, and set a length and a height. We can quickly do this, but what I normally do will take the lock constraint and lock that all down so it's all ready to go, just for speed. Hit close. Now we've got something to go around and profile out this. So we're going to select that sketch and also use a revolve, but this time we're going to use a groove. And that's this one here. Groove for selected sketch. Or come to part design. It's a subtractive feature and use a groove. Now this looks like it's actually deformed this in the incorrect way, but what's actually happened is actually grooved around this way. We need it to groove around this way. So we look at the axis, saying vertical sketch axis, which is this vertical one here. We need to go the horizontal sketch axis or the x-axis, this one here. So come down and pick horizontal or base X and click off, and you can see how that's gone around there. Horizontal axis will be exactly the same because that's a horizontal sketch axis, and you can see that's fine as well. And then hit OK, and basically we finished our wheel nut. We could add some extra detail by coming in here and say creating a sketch in here and using a subtractive helix to go around here, and let's quickly do that. So let's come to the top Make sure nothing's selected. Create a sketch. We attach it to the normal planes, the base planes, and we're looking along the XY. Hit OK. Now we use the section view, and we're looking to take material away by creating some kind of shape in here. So we can create, say, a triangle. Zoom in, and we may want to bring in some of the geometry. Let's bring in this line here and create a polyline. I'm going to actually take that line and use it as a guide, so I'm going to go straight through there and create our triangle like so. Hit escape, get the mouse pointer back, make sure all sides are equal. This is totally up to you, the shape you want to make this. I'm just going to go for a standard triangle, and we're going to move that into there. And going through there, I'm going to put that point on that line, and point on line constraint. I can slide that up and down that line to get this the right depth. I'm just going to go for something like that for the time being. I'm going to hit close. Now that sketch is sitting just there, just at that point there. You can see it in there. Click the sketch and then come up to the subtractive helix, and we'll click it. We can see it's saying vertical sketch axis, so it's going this way, which is not what we want. Let's go for horizontal sketch axis, and let's place that in there. We can alter the pitch and the height, so we can bring down the pitch and change the height. Let's change this to say 10. And we'll get an idea of how to create a helix. You can see we've got an error. It's come out input error. Result is not solid. Let's hit OK. Let's have a look what's happened. Let's come in and let's try that again. Let's bring up the pitch. So something like 2 millimeters. Let's hit OK. So you can see that was the issue, because we was intersecting this with the size of our pitch. So now we've got a makeshift thread along here. What we normally do is use something like the fasteners workbench and add the thread through there, but this will get us through the visuals of the actual object itself. So now we have finished our Formula 1 wheel nut. In later tutorials, what we'll do is create the actual wheel itself that this fits into. So there's a number of techniques used in there. Hope you enjoyed that tutorial. I'll see you again soon. If you like what you're seeing, please subscribe to the site. I also have a Ko-Fi or a Ko-Fi site that you can donate to if you so desire, and that's at ko-fi.com/MANG0. I also run a Patreon where you can subscribe and get extra content, and that's at www.patreon.com/MangoJellySolutions. Any money that's kindly donated will be used to expand the channel. Thanks a lot for watching and subscribing, and I'll see you again soon.